This is Dr. Chris's Radio of Horror program at 91.3 FM, WCW in Worcester, Massachusetts, USA, as well as on Radio Horror's YouTube and VidMe channel. And tonight on the show, we have all the way from across the pond in the British Isles, we have Oliver Harper, YouTube movie critic and reviewer, commentator, retrospective historian on the show with us. Thank you for coming on the show with us, Oliver.
Hello, Chris. No problem. It's great to be here.
Where did you get your start in doing this? I've heard some of your commentaries. I haven't listened to all of them, but I usually listen to the ones that are connected to films that I'm so familiar with I don't need to watch it with the film. So it's usually like plug into the iPod and then drive while listening to it. But you used to work at a movie theater, as we've all had done in life.
Yes, I worked as a projectionist for 7 years. So I started out kind of working my way up. Basically, because at the cinema you couldn't just be a projectionist. You had to do everything else. You had to rip the tickets. You had to do the popcorn. But I managed to swing it and just do projection, and must have charmed my way upstairs. So I worked as a projectionist for a year, then I got promoted to a technician. Yeah, I was just putting all the films together. Putting all the trailers, maintaining the projectors. So it was a 9-screen cinema, so that was good fun. It was nice being your own boss as well, because the managers didn't really care about projection. They just were more concerned with selling popcorn. They kind of let the guys in the projection booth kind of do their thing and make sure. And all we had to do is make sure the films run on time. But I kind of lost my way, as it were, because not lost my way, but I was basically made redundant because of the changeover from 35mm film to digital projection. They no longer needed technicians to run the shows. All you needed was someone to, they called it ingest. So you have a hard drive, you ingest it into the system, which I like to call Skynet, because it's this evil kind of server that you just transfer all the films and trailers onto, and all someone needed to do was create a digital playlist, and then just copy and paste that around the systems, and then basically you can run a cinema like that. So you didn't need someone upstairs kind of adjusting the focus. All you needed was someone to transfer the data, create the playlists, and replace the xenon lamps every couple of months when they go out. The craftsmanship of a projectionist is basically gone.
Do you think that's like a completely, utterly lost art, like renting a video? Because just before I had to go out for about an hour, and before our little chat here, I was on Netflix, and there are some times like today, I kind of hate Netflix, just being like scrolling through it on my PlayStation 4, looking for, a movie or something or whatever to watch, and I'm like, I miss, going down the street to my local video store, maybe not Blockbuster, but something a little less corporate and pretentious, and like strolling through stuff, you know what I mean? Being like, what to watch? Ooh, what's this? Oh,
I did love. Yeah, I used to love going down my old, VHS rental place, and you often find like a hidden gem,
yeah,
you've never seen before. But sometimes you got those things where in the 80s where you got this amazing cover, but the film's an absolute, pile of poo. It'd be the worst film ever you've ever seen, but the cover's always enticed you. With Netflix, I feel your pain. I mean, because I often sit on Netflix just scrolling, can't find anything, because either it's how the algorithm, how it displays everything. You often can't find what you're looking for, and sometimes it says new releases. I'm like, that's not new. That's been up there for like 2 months. But anyway, so once I kind of left the old projection booth, because I got made redundant, I had like quite a bit of money saved, so that was the time I had to think about doing something else that wasn't a projectionist anymore.
There was an interview with a projectionist here in New England, as you are in England, and he had been a projectionist for 35 years and retired last year.
Blimey. Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, there's still some theatres that will have, like, a 35mm projector laying around, or even, if they're lucky, like a 70mm one.
Mm-hmm.
So to sort of do, one night shows of, say, a classic movie from the past. But there's all those kind of things though. When you go to those, those showings of like an old 35mm print, most of the time they're often really damaged and scratched. You think, I could have just sat at home and watched a Blu-ray. You know, I have to be really kind of persuaded to go see some of these old films now projected, because I saw a pristine print of Tim Burton's Batman in 70mm. That was incredible seeing that, the quality. But I always have to know beforehand if it's going to be good or not.
And that's around the time after the projections thing ended that you started the Oliver Harper's your channel.
Well, it was. I didn't really know what to do. It was because I was watching a lot of YouTube at the time, and on ScrewAttack.com, if you remember that website, they did like this kind of retrospective series.
Oh yeah, wait, that website's still around, isn't it?
Is it? I never got. Maybe it got bought out by someone. I'm not sure. I haven't been on there for ages.
Yeah, ScrewAttack was like a great answer to when G4 ended.
That's right. they had a long running series of Resident Evil and Star Wars game retrospectives. So they did like the Star Wars games from early 80s and on to the late 80s and the 90s and so on.
Yeah. And
I really enjoyed that format. And there was, obviously, being a big fan of Aliens, and there was the great quadrilogy box set special features.
Oh, wait a minute! I know what you're talking about. You're talking about game trailers. Game trailers ended.
Well, it was it was Screw Attack kind of / game trailers.
Okay, yeah, because game trailers had
back in my mind about it. Yeah, game trailers left, didn't it? That's the one I collected.
Yeah, game trailers had hundreds of retrospectives, so well put together based on like gaming franchises. Like they went through every single game in the franchise, like Final Fantasy, Legend of Zelda, Resident Evil, Castlevania.
Yeah, I really enjoyed watching those.
Yeah,
I'm sure they're probably all backed up and put on YouTube by someone else.
Yeah, they're on someone else's website. I know they did close their site, and they did say, "Don't worry, all of our content's going to be going over to these guys." And I think their website, which is down, does have a link saying, "Follow all our old content to these guys."
That's right. And because I was watching their videos a lot and watching a lot of special features on kind of DVDs and such, I thought to myself, well, I might try something like this and do something for YouTube. And because my first video I did was on Superman 4. Not a very good movie, but there was some little bits I liked about it. It had good intentions but had no money to work. So I did a video about that, kind of talking about the production and my feelings on it. It wasn't a particularly good video. If I look back at it now, I can't look at my old stuff. It's quite embarrassing. But it got an audience, and people quite liked it. So once I did one video, someone said, "Oh, why didn't you do another one?" I was like, "Well, I didn't know what to do." And I thought, well, I obviously had all this free time. One of my friends was quite encouraging. They said, "Look, just keep doing it every week or two, just try and just continue with it. You've got something here." So I think I did the second one was like RoboCop 3, then it was like Supergirl, then Santa Claus, and these are some also I did redo a lot of these reviews later on. But yeah, once I kind of started that momentum, and they were quite short, most of the reviews were like 10 minutes tops, because I think there was a limit at the time, like 15 minutes max you could do.
Yeah.
On YouTube. So this is 2011. Then the more I kind of continued with it, I sort of got an audience quicker and quicker and quicker. And it took me a couple of years to get to a certain point where I thought, oh, this could work if I did this full time.
Uh-huh.
But most of my audience were just like just kind of guys the same age as me, really. Chaps in their mid-20s to mid-30s who kind of all grew up on these movies. So my audience is really kind of stuck the same kind of demographic. It was always appealed to people in their 25 to 35, mostly. When I check analytics on YouTube, so it's always had that. I still have people who followed me around in the early days still kind of commenting on stuff, which is great. They're stuck around and not got bored of me, like some people have.
No, the content you create is extremely entertaining. I mean, I fell upon it by chance, as anything. When you create a video, you want to put tags in your video because it will show up when other people are looking for things. And it was only last year, it was definitely last year, that I first discovered something you did. You did.
What was I do?
Masters of the Universe. It was Masters of the Universe. That was what I discovered.
Oh, right, yes.
And I think it was around October, because I went to go meet, I was meeting for the second time, Meg Foster.
Oh, right.
AKA the insanely beautiful Meg Foster, Evil Lynn, at the time. she's got those like eyes and everything. And of course, her career kind of had a huge resurgence because Rob Zombie has like stuck her in everything.
Has he?
Yeah, she was the naked old hag in the Lords of Salem.
Oh right.
That is her. I thought maybe she was wearing like a.
Did she pop up in the remakes of Halloween?
No, she's in Lords of Salem and she's in 31, and someone said she's in one of the Rob Zombie movie. But yeah, she's one of the main characters in 31, and then she's the old hag in Lords of Salem. Her introduction in the movie is her spitting on a baby and then killing it.
Oh god.
Which, if you read, I would love it if you, like, come October, if you did some, like, really hardcore horror ones, and be like, this bloke in the States recommended I do Lords of Salem. So we're gonna do a commentary for it, and then we're gonna do, like, a retrospective on it, and Jesus Christ.
I think my channel would probably be deemed unsuitable for advertisers at that point. Like,
well,
money for that,
that's why you limit what the violence it is that you show, but maybe you stick an unedited version of it on VidMe. VidMe is becoming very popular for people who are tired of YouTube's like pretentious, like, you can't swear, you can't talk about drugs, you can't talk about sex, you can't talk about violence. Fuck you, YouTube.
Well, VidMe, yeah, I've heard a lot of people are jumping onto VidMe, but it's one of those things where there's always a particular site that kind of starts up, and everyone's like, "Oh, go on here." Then after a short while, people just lose the enthusiasm and then go crawling back to YouTube.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if it's like with VidMe, I'd spend my entire week uploading my back catalogue and then nothing will come of it. So I'd rather wait till kind of things do begin to build up with VidMe, then YouTube begin to crumble. I don't know.
Well, VidMe started in 2000 and late 2000, maybe mid 2014 or 2015, and this past the last in 2016, it really started picking up speed. A lot of people on YouTube were uploading to VidMe.
Right.
And they just added to their site, pay for subscriptions, stuff like that, and they're working on now advertisements.
Oh, right, okay.
So, because I know a lot of YouTube people want to leave YouTube and start something else, but they can't leave YouTube if they don't have a job, and their whole job now is to live on YouTube ad revenue. So,
that's the sort of similar problem that's kind of occurred.
Yeah, it's like, wait a minute, I left my 9-to-5 job to become a YouTube star, and now YouTube is like slashing and burning half of my videos.
It's a bit problematic at the moment for many. I mean, for me, it's happened to me as well. I've seen a cut in revenue, so
yeah,
I'm not going to panic yet, but I'm going to give it a couple of months. But at the end of the day, I've chosen this route. It's no one else's fault apart from my own. But in this case, with YouTube's kind of clumsy handling of the distribution of adverts, I suppose it's their fault. And unfortunately, the content creators who are who are there to sort of entertain people in a, I suppose, honest and genuine way are the ones that get punished, I'm afraid.
Yeah, well, the other thing is that when YouTube hires somebody who used to be work for a televangelist, that became a big problem.
Oh my god.
That is why YouTube has had such a crackdown on sex, drugs, and violence in their content. Yeah. Now, you're kind of wondering, why... Now, you probably get asked this a lot. You probably have asked the question yourself, why is YouTube going after me for, maybe just having some stills or maybe just a clip of a video, but they're not going after this guy over here who's got the entire movie of Snowpiercer on his channel?
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it, when when dealing with YouTube, because I get a lot of questions about copyright, how I get around it, because I see on my videos a lot of people say, oh, I want to do that, but they're worried about copyright. But the thing I did was, I do get asked a lot of questions about copyright claims and copyright laws and stuff with my videos, because a lot of people watch my reviews and think, oh, they'd like to do that. How do I deal with copyright? What happens is, if a video is claimed, you can dispute it, and if you provide a fair argument for the fair use, if you're polite, most of the time it gets released. In some cases it doesn't. So what I had to do was literally go speak to the studios directly, to their licensing departments, and say, this is what I do, this is how the material is presented, and got many of the claims released. And the feedback I've got back from some of the studios was very positive, so I felt quite happy that the studios were pleased with my work and weren't out to sort of say shut this guy down. But you do get people who upload full movies, but the rest of the time those full movies generally are ones where the copyright has kind of lapsed, or the studio doesn't really give a toss about that film anymore, or they're just completely lucky and they haven't noticed for it to match the content ID. Let's say, for example, someone's uploaded a random Jean-Claude Van Damme film, but the distributor who distributes that movie hasn't uploaded it to the content servers for it to be matched. So there won't be an automatic claim, but the studio could go through and check manually to see if said film was uploaded, and they haven't. So you can find things like, I don't know, Jean-Claude Van Damme film Lionheart on YouTube. Someone's uploaded it. So, there's some people get away with it, some people don't. But
or there's no studio that gives a shit about a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie.
Well, yeah, possibly. If it's something like Time Cop or something, like Time Cop on YouTube.
We're not talking about like a movie that has, that's tied to some franchise. Like, all the Hellraisers are released up on YouTube, but the new Hellraiser is coming out soon.
Well, yeah, you probably can find one or two of the Hellraiser movies on YouTube. I guess, maybe one of the really bad sequels. I don't know. But,
So you mean 90% of the movies except for the first three?
Yeah, I think most of them after number 3 get really bad, don't they, with Hellraiser?
Yeah, and the new one's coming out this year, right?
Well, I saw a still, like, the sort of redesign of Pinhead, I think it was.
Yep.
It's not, and I was just like, well, it doesn't look brilliant, but it doesn't look awful, but, it's a shame they're not bringing back,
Doug.
Doug, not bringing him back. This is a shame, because he's not like super old, he can still do it, but it's all part of the reboot thing, isn't it? So it probably would confuse people if it's the same guy again. But hey, as you know, at the end of the day, the horror fans are going to go out and see it, and they want to see him as Pinhead, not some random Yahoo. So
yeah, it is funny though that despite the fact that those movies have been dragged through the mud and they're nothing but garbage in the end, with them being like films based on scripts that had nothing to do with Pinhead, and they were supernatural scripts, and they were like, just throw Pinhead in there, and it's like, no, don't do that. But those have been dragged through the mud, and those have been out since like 1989. But then you have a film series like Phantasm, which I would love to see you do, the Phantasm films, which started in 1979, and the last one came out in 2016, last year, and every single one of them, there's only 5 movies. 5 movies since 1979, and they're all very well loved. You know what I mean?
Oh. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? But when you see, especially with these kind of long-running horror franchises, they generally do get worse with the kind of sequels as the studios kind of cut corners, but they still know they can make some money. But there's always a core audience for them. They still love it. It's like, I had a discussion about this about RoboCop, because everything after the first movie kind of hasn't done very well. But there's still a huge core fan base for it, and they still kind of want more RoboCop, despite being given more, like RoboCop 2, 3 TV series, the kind of violent Prime Directive series, all the cartoons and stuff. They've given you more stuff, but it's not very good.
No.
You have this weird thing where it's just like you argue, like Terminator, you're given more and more sequels where you don't really want any more sequels, but they keep giving you them, and they're not good. So it's this strange thing, kind of like this. We're kind of like this abused housewife, can you keep accepting, more sequels and kind of still loving the franchise?
Yeah, but the Phantasm movies seem to have been done correctly because they're all done by the same guy, you know what I mean? The same cast.
Yeah, creatively, you've got the same creative person involved, the quality should still be maintained.
Yeah. And
as you're saying it has.
And you, on your channel, covered almost everything to do with RoboCop, right? Except for the sci-fi channel made-for-TV movies.
Yeah, that's one I didn't do. Well, I haven't done it yet. So, it's not saying I wouldn't do it. People have asked me to cover it, because once you cover, one sequel, they want the next one the next week. So, for example, when I covered Spider-Man, everyone's thinking, you're doing Spider-Man 2 next week. I'm like, no. It's one of those things where, because when you cover a movie, you don't really keep discussing this on sequels and stuff for you end up spending a whole month doing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So I like to sort of...
Which he has enough movies and a TV series now you could do.
Yeah, exactly. So the more you do... The thing is, like, when you do kind of big franchises, I always like to spread them out. So I will do things like Alien Resurrection at one point, because I've done Alien 1 to 3.
Yeah.
But the RoboCop sci-fi series, it was always, I do recall the actor not, taking inspiration from Peter Weller and his performance. I remember him being very short. Not hitting him properly. There's loads of kind of problems with it, despite it being kind of a lot more violent than the 94 TV series that was aimed at kids.
And it was funny that it was RoboCop and his partner Black Cop. I mean Black.
That's right.
Black RoboCop. And I don't mean that derogatory in any way. I mean the guy was African American in a black suited RoboCop costume. Okay, he's Black RoboCop. You couldn't say he's not Black RoboCop if you tried.
Well, I don't think it was received well, was it?
No. But God, I remember. I mean, those came out before we got the Avengers, before we had the Spider-Man movies and the X-Men movies, before we had like Game of Thrones and all these great TV series that we have now. That was kind of like, that was released at a time we didn't have a lot to be like, whoa, look what we have, We got...
It was a weird thing, because for me in the UK, it just came out of the blue. Because I worked in a video game shop at the time, and these DVDs turned up, these RoboCop things. I was like, what the hell is this? I don't recall hearing this being made. It just like turns up. I was like, looks a bit crap, so I didn't bother watching it, till later on, to my embarrassment,
That what you just said, I love it when you put it like that, because you've said that before in some of your commentaries. What the hell is this? And it reminds me of the one of the funniest commentaries you did was for Aliens with your buddy. Yeah, and you guys are making fun of newts so much. It's so goddamn funny. Sometimes they come at night. Sometimes I'm gonna die later on in the third film. Which, if you ever read the Aliens Dark Horse comic book, the original sequel to Aliens, which Dark Horse released when they first launched their company back in the late 80s. If you remember, Alien 3 came out like in 1992 or 93. They were putting out Alien comic books through Dark Horse since the company launched. The company launched on Alien comic books, and one of the first properties they picked up was Aliens. In fact, they picked up everything Fox had to make into a comic book. Hence why they got Star Wars, and they ran Star Wars so successfully until Disney bought Marvel, and then it was like, well, that's inevitably going to go to Marvel, and that's going to suck. No, Star Wars comic books are the hottest selling comic books at Marvel. In fact, they're better written than half the fucking stupid books that are out right now. Civil War 2.
I did pick up a few of the Alien comics as a kid. Later on, it was very much I got the omnibus kind of collections they did, and so I got a few volumes of those. But they were really well written comics. I thought there's some good stories in them.
And they're all they're all in like continuity with each other too.
Yeah. It's strange. It's funny because they also did the Terminator as well, and it's funny how they tried to see a sequel before T2 came out, and how they were going to do it. And it's funny kind of seeing their kind of ideas stemming into the future. But then it kind of went a bit crazy with the crossovers with RoboCop versus Terminator and Superman versus Predator and Superman versus Aliens, which was a good comic actually. I did quite enjoy that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's crazy how there's quite a lot of comics on aliens. I think they're still doing comics on aliens, aren't they?
Yes. In fact, a lot of them have been now revolved around incorporating stuff that we've learned from Prometheus into the books. Because when Prometheus came out, that really changed how they were going to rate the comics. Because everything's going to look like the way Prometheus looks now, which is fine because, I mean, as you said so yourself, Prometheus is a beautiful-looking film. It's just a terribly written film.
Yeah, it's clunky script.
Yeah,
it's,
and with
original, it's great when you watch the original, a 3-hour kind of plus documentary on the film. That's actually probably better than the film.
Yeah, and there was a comic book that tied. It was called Alien It was a giant crossover with all their books called Heart and Stone, or Fire and Stone, or Fire and Ice, or something. And it was aliens, Alien versus Predator, Predator, and Prometheus all tied together. You could read each one individually, or you could read it in the order that Dark Horse collected them in trade paperbacks, as it had one giant complete story that ended in the 2-issue Prometheus story arc, which had like the engineers fighting the predators, and like a new version of like the Alien Prometheus engineer, mixing a lot of stuff together. Also, it was another ship that lands on the LV-4, not 26, but the one from Prometheus.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so the black goo has gotten out everywhere and has basically completely retro-formatted the planet. Oh, right.
I've never heard of this comic.
Yeah, it was really good. I was like, God, this is amazing. This is so well put together. And they had like this, the box that the individual trade paperbacks came in had this amazing wraparound cover with, like, again, the colonial marines and the scientists fighting the aliens and the predators and the engineers on it.
It's interesting that, also what you're saying is probably the ideas in these comics are probably a lot better than what we got in Prometheus.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what boils down to the documentary for the film, is that the guy's original idea was far more interesting than what we got with Damien Lindelof's kind of changing of the narrative and the ideas, which, Ridley Scott's also got to take the blame as well, because he's kind of, decided to go with that direction. But hopefully, when Alien Covenant comes out, they'll kind of correct some of the problems and give us something that we genuinely want.
Yeah.
But hopefully it's not just like a remake of the 79 film. I want it to be scary, not just predictable. But that's the thing with all the Alien films, what happened with the sequels and even Predator sequels, that the audience themselves are ahead of the characters. They're always playing catch up, so you kind of know what's going to happen, really, in the long run. But if you just want to see Predator kill people and skin them, whatever, then you may be happy with Predator 4 when it comes out. I'm looking forward to it. So, but I have to sort of be aware that I must go in with kind of slightly lowered expectations, because if you go in thinking it's going to be the best thing ever, then you may end up coming out a bit disappointed.
By the way, that RoboCop series for Sci-Fi Channel came out in January of 2001. It was 4 90-minute movies.
90 minutes each.
Yeah.
A lot to go through.
Well, come on, that's like a season of Sherlock for you guys.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah. that's why I don't review TV series like Smallville, because there's like 10 seasons, whatever, with like 22 episodes. I'm like, I don't have the time.
But you will review Superboy, which you did.
Oh yeah, that was
oh my God.
Man, that was important.
I couldn't believe you did that, because I tried rewatching a couple episodes you recommended, and I was like, oh my God, this is so painful.
One of my friends said the first season looked a bit like softcore porn. I was shocked, which made me laugh, but it's got its kind of charm. If you grew up on it, then it's kind of okay, but if you're an adult, kind of go watching it, just, with no experience of it before, it may be very, very, very cheesy.
I watched it when it came on TV when I was like in the 80s, when I was growing up, and I loved it then, but I tried rewatching it now, and it's like, man, I have been spoiled on the Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh yeah, because it's strange. When I was a kid and I saw the Dean Cain Lois and Clark show, I wasn't particularly happy with it, because I grew up with Christopher Reeve, and seeing this kind of show that was kind of played more silly, and it was more about Lois and Clark and not really about Superman, and I kind of just put up with it and kind of watched it, but kind of just
put up with it.
And then, but as I got older, I kind of appreciate it more, because the first 2 seasons of Lois and Clark is pretty good. But yeah, as a kid, I was like, this is not good. I wanted a Christopher Reeve kind of Superman TV show, but we got this kind of show aimed at, I don't know, kind of a wider audience, I suppose, more girls than boys.
And now Lois and Clark are both on Supergirl.
Yeah, everyone seems to do the whole kind of cameo-ing, don't they?
Yeah, Dean Cain plays.
Yeah,
Dean Cain plays Kara's lesbian sister's biological father.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, and then...
He popped up in the first season?
Yeah, and he was in this season too. And Terry Hatcher, who looks like she never aged. I mean, God, she looks so beautiful. She plays Mon-El's mother, and Mon-El's father is Kevin Sorbo, Hercules.
Yes, right, yeah. Because of Helen Slater, isn't it? She plays...
Helen Slater plays, yeah. Helen Slater plays Alex's, real mother, Kyra's adopted mother.
That's right, yeah. It's now, they always bring in the same in these kind of shows. Like Smallville spent the entire time saying, "Oh, no capes, no costume, whatever. We're doing our own thing." Then they end up kind of throwing in cameo actors from the Superman films, even Chris Reeve in. And by the end of the series, they're already just like, they use the Superman music, they use, the costumes. Like, well, they spent the entire time pretending not to do that, but then they did. So it's just, no, it's always kind of bugged me, that show.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if
10 seasons. It was like way too long.
Yeah, totally. It took him 10 years to become Superman. I mean, so it was like, what? Where do you come up with all your research for everything? Are you just pulling it from the internet, or are you pulling it from like commentaries, bonus material on DVDs, or books?
It will be, depending on what particular film. Some films have zero stuff, so you have to kind of rely on what's on Wikipedia, or trying to find something else, like a random interview with one of the directors or DP or one of the actors. But most cases, it's always going to be check the commentaries, find anything interesting that I can take notes on, and obviously directors, the behind-the-scenes material that comes with these movies, but also like old issues of Starlog.
Oh yeah,
they've always got, because the Internet Archive.
Good on you.
Like, most of the issues there, so you can flick through to find some tidbit of information. Like I did a review on Screamers. A lot of the information came from an old issue of Starlog. It was like 2 issues of Starlog where they interviewed Peter Weller and the director. So obviously the DVD and the Blu-rays don't have any behind-the-scenes material. They have nothing. So you have to sort of, dig your way through the internet to find something that's interesting. Because, excuse me, but if you just take whatever you can from, there's a lot of stuff you can cut out of, say, retrospective, because if you mention everything, because some people got annoyed sometimes I don't mention the entire cast that's in the film, but I know I'm not going to spend all day listing everyone in the film. Just pick the important characters who have a point to the narrative, or may have some interesting kind of trivia to throw in. But what I've learned over the years is making note of what I think people will find interesting. I mean, there's some things I cut out entirely in terms of some sort of casting choices, or you've got production design, because I think they may kind of drag out a particular video. So I just kind of cherry pick bits what I think people will find interesting. If I find it interesting, I think, well, okay, hopefully my viewers will. I mean, in the early days when I was doing this, it was very kind of just picking bits what I already knew in some regards, or just kind of grabbing stuff which is very much common knowledge to people. It's very difficult to sort of, when you've got a hardcore fan of a particular movie, say, I don't know, like Star Wars, it's hard to provide something really new and fresh to them because they already know the film back to front.
Yep.
So when you do a retrospective on it, it's like most people are like, I already know all this. I'm like, well, maybe it's not for you then. Just kind of go to my opinion.
You could do you could redo Star Wars because it's like the 40th anniversary, and like Carrie Fisher put that book out just like weeks before she died. She put out The Princess Diarist, and it's filled with more Star Wars information no one knew about. Like especially the one thing that blew everyone away was her on
the romance with Harrison Ford.
Yes, which had been kept very secret because Harrison was married at the time.
Yeah.
And that was like a big whoa, they were banging on set when they weren't supposed to be.
Well, it's one of those things where I think when it comes to doing,
like, she knew she was going to die and was like, oh, I got to put this out.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I suppose when I come to do the commentaries, if I do commentaries on the original Star Wars episodes 4 to 6, then so that information could be quite helpful actually. I may try and grab the book when I next can pop to the bookstore.
It's a good read.
I pop to the bookstore. But yeah, it's always So as I said, sort of DVD materials always there to sort of grab information off or old magazines.
It's great when you do the stuff that's like mainstream, you know what I mean? And yeah, I had the same opinion about Star Wars. I was like, well, why is he doing this? This is kind of strange. I mean, it's so... Everyone's done it before, and because this is when I was first introduced to you, and because I had seen some of your really obscure stuff that you did, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and like Superboy and like the other, you know what I mean? And like as well known as Superman is, there is a lot of people who never knew there was a Superboy TV series, or like other like really obscure horror science fiction movies you did.
Yeah, kind of niche movies. I mean, the thing is, when you're doing a YouTube channel, when you want to get a bigger audience, if you're just doing kind of very unknown or kind of niche movies, it's difficult to sort of get an audience at that point. So you'd have to, whether I've covered things like Star Wars, Batman Begins, or Ghostbusters, they're very popular movies. So there is a guarantee you should get a decent viewership out of that. But also you fall into that problem that what else is there to talk on these particular movies other than just provide your own opinion. And if people just want to hear that, then that's great. But the thing is, when I try and balance out the popular kind of titles with the kind of more niche movies. So you got things like Dolph Lundgren's I Come in Peace, or for example that Peter Weller film Screamers, which I reviewed. They don't, my subscribers, maybe 25-30% will watch that, whereas if I do Batman Begins, about 90% will. So you've got this weird kind of balance there, where you've got dedicated people who will just watch everything or just love the niche stuff. But the majority don't want to see that. They want to see you talk about, I don't know, Gremlins 2 or Darkman or Star Wars. So you got these, you have to sort of provide content for both demographics, I suppose.
That kind of happened with Radio of Horror. We, me and my former co-host, she had unfortunately had to leave due to a lot of she's a singer-songwriter, so her music career has really kind of taken a hit doing the radio show, so she had to leave. And one of the last two of the last videos that we did together, we did a 20th anniversary of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, because I knew exactly what was going to happen when I stuck that on YouTube and VidMe, because the Buffy the Vampire Slayer reunion was happening at EW, and like all these other people were doing Buffy the Vampire Slayer related things. So I was like, you know what, let's cash in on that. Sure enough, the video has like 1,000 hits. And then we did one on Neil Gaiman, which I still need to upload. And Neil Gaiman's hot right now because American Gods. Everyone's watching American Gods, the TV series based on his novel. And there's a Dark Horse comic book out as well. Dark Horse publishes all the Neil Gaiman stuff.
But there you go. You're timing your content with something that's popular at that point in time, or something that's going down. So that's, in some cases, it's if a remake's coming out of a particular movie, then sometimes if you review that old movie in time for that remake, you get a lot of hits because people are searching for that particular movie.
Yeah.
So, for example, I reviewed Ghostbusters 2. I redid an older review of it when the remake came out, so that did quite well with views. So it is. You are trying to capitalising on the sort of the popularity of a particular movie, but that's trying to be marketing or kind of savvy about those choices about what you're going to cover. For example, there's a new Planet of the Apes film coming out. I could theoretically do a retrospective on the original movie with Charlton Heston, or Charles Heston, sorry. Then time it with that. That should hopefully do well if I did that. The same with like a James Bond movie. If you do a retrospective on a particular movie, on a particular James Bond film, and tie it with release of the new movie, you should get an audience. So, always bear that in mind.
I did the same thing on Alien Day on Wednesday. Alien stuff was everywhere on the internet. Now, last year was a little bit bigger because Twitter was doing a huge Alien contest. Every 26 minutes, a new question would pop up on Twitter that you could tweet the answer to, and then you'd be randomly selected to win a prize. And in fact, I won a couple of Alien versus Predator board games last year, which was really cool. But I had an Alien box set that had arrived in the mail about 2 or 3 weeks before, and man, did I want to open it up. It was the reaction 3 3/4 figures that look like old school Star Wars figures for the Queen and Ripley in the Power Loader. And
nice.
yeah, so I did an unboxing for it on Alien Day and stuck it up on YouTube and VidMe. Now, of course, again, the thing with VidMe is that there are a lot less people on VidMe, whereas there's like 1 billion videos on YouTube. So fighting for space is very hard. But on VidMe, you have like your tags have a bigger reach because there's not as much content on there. And it shows you what country your tags are actually, who's watching your videos from what country, which is really nice. But still, the reaction to the video was, bigger than if I hadn't released it on Wednesday, which again was Alien Day.
Well, it seems that if VidMe, if you're getting a bigger audience, say on VidMe, then maybe VidMe may be the best choice for people who are kind of starting out, doing content on a more kind of regular basis, trying to build an audience, because YouTube is really difficult for newcomers to sort of find an audience and get enough subscribers, sort of build up this kind of viewership.
Correct.
Because a lot of people, everyone just gets lost in the mayhem. I might, I've only got I'm just under 70,000 subscribers, but I'm still kind of niche in that regard. I'm not over 100k or 200k, subscribers. So I'm still kind of small in that kind of movie critic market, as it were. But things are always kind of steadily going up and up and up. The thing is, I think when people kind of peak too quickly, like they go viral for like a month or two, then suddenly it's hard to sustain that popularity, and then you end up kind of dwindling. But you always have to kind of time it with, if you look at your subs to viewership. If you've got 1,000 subs or 2,000 subs, but your videos are only getting 200 views, then I'd probably, if I was in that scenario, I'd probably go, right, there's a problem, and probably change career, as it were. But but there's no point putting your back into it and and sweating over work where it's not really going to get seen by a lot of people. So it's a tough decision, But at the moment, it seems to be okay. I'm not going anywhere at the moment.
Do you send your videos out on social media, or do you just let your following find you now?
Of course, I do have Twitter and my Facebook page, but I don't go hunting down different websites going, hey, this is what I've done, share this please, whatever. So I think my audience generally just share my stuff. I'm not on Reddit. I do have an account, but I don't use it. But I do get word that people share my stuff on Reddit and stuff, and their own personal websites. If it's like movie related, they often share my stuff, which is great. So yeah, it's my audience have done a lot to sort of share my stuff.
That's good. I have to post stuff on Reddit once in a while. I really hate doing it sometimes. I feel like I'm spamming Reddit, but I haven't heard too much of a complaint yet, so I'm going to continue doing it.
Just keep doing it until you get told off.
No, but every once in a while when I review something that I send to like the studio, you know what I mean? Like we did last year a Nightmare on Elm Street. The entire music collection came out in a box set on CD.
Oh, that's right, the soundtrack.
It was so awesome. Every single film from the original to Freddy vs. Jason, and
it was expensive, wasn't it? It was quite a pricey box set.
Yeah, it was $100 for like 8 CDs. Yeah,
that's not bad, is it actually?
But you got all the music, not this. Now this is just the scores, not the not the Dokken. Yeah, not the Dokken song from Nightmare Part 3 or stuff like that. You know what I mean? So this is all the scores, which the studio is probably a lot cheaper than having to hunt down every single individual band member and pay them out their royalty fees. Since the studios own the scores.
So a lot of the scores are quite like synthesizer scores, weren't they?
For Nightmare on Elm Street?
Yeah, were they big? I can't remember now. Were they big? I know there's some of them had a mix of orchestral with electronic.
Yeah, because it was the 80s.
Yeah.
But man, the music is frightening. You know what I mean? It's more frightening than I think than after John Carpenter stopped doing the music for Halloween. The music those movies became very like weird techno synthesizer music, trying to copying. And you're just like, ugh.
The composer probably had little money and little time, so just like just kind of speeding through it.
Yeah, but the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, man, the music is hauntingly creepy through all of them.
Oh, yeah, they're good.
And I
What was your favourite soundtrack then out of the bunch on the box set?
Oh, it still probably has to go back to the original, but I do like Part 4, mainly because that was the first Nightmare movie I ever watched.
Okay, it's sentimental.
Yeah, I watched it with my mother when I was 10 years old because it was on HBO at the time, and I was like, "What's this? Can we watch this?" And she's just like, "Okay, we'll watch this together." And I was talking to my ex-wife the other day. We were watching Rogue One. My son had not seen Rogue One yet, and so I brought it over to show him, and he wanted to see it with his mom. So I was like, "Okay, we'll watch it with your mom too." And he said to me, "Oh, that's like Prison Break, Daddy." I'm like, "What are you talking about? That's like prison." Because, in Rogue One, there's, the Jyn Erso, is broken out of prison by the Rebel Alliance, right? Sure. And I'm like, what do you mean that's like Prison Break? I don't understand that comment. Now, I know what Prison Break is, but I'm like, why does my 10-year-old son know what Prison Break is? And I turn to my ex-wife and say, what is he talking about? We watched Prison Break together. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? We watched Prison Break together. And he's like, I was rewatching the first season of Prison Break, and he came downstairs, and he started watching it with me, and he wanted to watch one episode after the other, and he really got into the characters of Michael and Lincoln, and I'm like, are you kidding me? That show is insanely violent. I mean, it's on at 8 o'clock, so it's not like Sons of Anarchy violent, but he's like...
Wait a minute, you watched Elm Street when you were 10, so... you can't...
Well, that's what I said to her. I was like, so can I bring over the Nightmare on Elm Street and show him that? Because I watched it when I was 10 years old, and she's like, he might be bored with that, because when it comes to really violent stuff, apparently he doesn't... It's not that he's disturbed by it. He just kind of turns it out and is just like, they're just killing each other now. So I'm like...
That's the thing, isn't it? Because when you're a kid, the sort of horror movies you found terrifying, but kids today probably find them quite tame.
So he's like watching Prison Break, and I'm like shocked by this. I'm like, what?
Oh dear.
So I mean,
I've got because I'm sorry to interrupt you there, Chris. You got me for another 10 minutes because my girlfriend's making dinner.
Oh boy! Oh yeah, it's almost 8 o'clock where you are.
Yeah.
That's okay. I think I've gotten everything out of my system. I mean, we could go on for like another 3 hours talking about fucking movies and like the stupidity of them all. But there's some films I recommend that I would love you to do. You know what I mean? I would love to see the Phantasm films on your channel.
Request hour.
Yes, request hour. I would love to see the Phantasm films. I would love to see this, the Nightmare on Elm Street, the Friday the 13th. You know what I mean? I know people have done them before, but maybe like do them as like a giant lump or something. Just be like.
Big lump.
Because they're all the same movies.
Well, when it comes to Halloween this October, I'll make a list of stuff, and I'll try and include one of your movies on there as well.
I
need to cover like American Werewolf.
Yes, especially considering you're in London.
I know. Well, I live in Cambridge, but I'm not far.
That's the same thing.
Everyone thinks England's just London.
Oh my god, you should do the American comedy Euro Trip.
Oh, we are seeing that. Yeah. Ages that kind of straight to. Well, that wasn't straight to DVD, was it? It was one of those kind of.
No, it was in theaters.
I was after American Pie.
Yeah. But that was the first date. That was the first date for me and my ex-wife.
Oh, right.
I have another movie in my hand you should do. The Ninth Gate with Johnny Depp, the Roman Polanski movie.
Oh, God, that. Jesus. Yeah. I've only seen it once, actually.
I love this movie, but you got to talk about what the book that it's based on is about the stolen original manuscript for the Three Musketeers.
Really?
Yes, it has. The book has nothing to do with Satan worshippers, but the character Johnny Depp plays is in the book. He's like trying to hunt down this like lost manuscript. It's based on the novel. Hold on, see if it's on the back of the Blu-ray. Based on the novel El Club Dumas. Alexander Dumas was the author of the Three Musketeers.
Huh.
And it's about a stolen original manuscript of the Three Musketeers, and I think, if I'm remembering my history correctly or remembering talking about it, the original manuscript for the Three Musketeers has never been. Nobody has it. You know what I mean? It's a lost. It's lost in the annals of time. Yes, bookstores all over the planet. But the original script written by Dumas has been lost. And this is about the stolen script, and Johnny Depp's character goes to hunt it down. Now, I think that would have made as much of a compelling movie as the film The Ninth Gate, which was about, like, I think a satanic Bible or something. I don't remember. It's been a while since I've seen the movie. But I still kind of like this movie, despite the fact it's made by a child rapist.
Well, yeah. I mean, once you've got, when it comes to like discussion of books and the films, there is always kind of an interesting kind of link through. I can always do. So yeah, that sounds, that would be a good choice.
Yeah, it's like
I get loads of great choices or recommendations on a daily basis.
Film.
And it's always kind of difficult. It's tough to please everyone because my list is getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I know. I hear that.
Someone sent me a list saying, "Can you review these movies?" And they sent me 500 films.
Oh my god!
So, this is their request. I was like, "What? You mad?" So it's one of those things where I end up with one of those films on his list, and he's like, "Yeah, you listened to my my request." I was like, "Well, you did send me 500 films to review." I was like, "Well, one of them's going to be reviewed at some point." So, but yeah, I will make a note of some of the horror films you suggested, Chris. So, come Halloween, hopefully, I will, you'll be satisfied with one of the choices.
A channel called Cinefix actually does a great bunch of compare what's the difference between the book and the movie. They just did the Two Towers. They're going to be doing the Return of the King coming up next. But they did an amazing one for Hellraiser, which had been years since I read The Hellbound Heart, and they pointed out how Pinhead is not the main character; it's a woman, and how Frank is brought back to life is through his dried up cum on the floor and his brother's blood mixes together.
Oh god. Well, yes, Clive Barker for you.
Well, yeah, because he's getting a muscle massage within his own. The female Cenobite is running her hands through his skin, massaging his muscles while he's jerking off, and he's ripped apart when he finally orgasms, and then his brother's blood mixes with it, and then brings it back to life.
Oh my god! It was a good job they didn't put that in the film, isn't it? It would have been pretty disgusting to see.
This is the true 50 Shades of Grey.
Sort of, yeah. Oh god, yeah. Well, that website, that YouTube channel sounds great, so I'll definitely check it out.
Definitely, yeah, absolutely. And they do a bunch of great little video. They're the ones who create those videos that show Zootopia is a crime thriller, so it's a remix of the trailer, or Twilight's a goofy comedy.
They're like an evil trailer for Mrs. Doubtfire or something.
Yeah, Mary Poppins.
Yeah, that's right.
There's a Mary Poppins sequel coming out this year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. Are they just doing? Is it actually a sequel? Or is it a remake?
It is it is a sequel. Well, I mean, I guess you could call it a remake, but it is a sequel. Dick Van Dyke is going to be in it.
Ah, I see. I saw a picture of it. I saw a production still.
Yeah, you've seen the one where her back is to you.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't remember who's playing Mary Poppins.
Someone British.
Yeah, you hope so, huh? Otherwise the British will be declaring war on Hollywood and America. Why don't you give away your YouTube channel and where people can find you on Facebook and Twitter?
Sure. Well, yeah, I mean, if you want to, for the listeners out there, if they want to find my reviews online, if you just put in Oliver Harper into YouTube, you'll find my stuff very easily. You'll find a bunch of retrospective reviews or podcast commentaries. But on Facebook, I have, you just put in Oliver Harper Retrospective, you should find my Facebook page, and the same with Twitter. It's OllieH82. You should be able to find it. You can follow me on there. So basically, with my Twitter, I just kind of use it as a way to sort of update people on what's coming out next, and post some random nonsense now and again. But yeah, I try and keep it kind of just about the business on Twitter.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on the show, Oliver. It's been an honor to have you on. I've been following you again for the last year or so. And I look forward to more of your insightful commentaries and retrospectives on film history, because that's really what you were covering when you talk about any past film that's not currently in theaters, especially films that are really old. A film historian's guide to Hollywood nuttiness.
Thank you, Chris. That's very nice to say. I mean, I just posted a commentary today, which was on Moonraker.
Moonraker.
And then there's a retrospective review on Stargate coming in early May. But
oh my god, Stargate is unbelievably fantastic. I can't wait for that. But in Moonraker's commentary, do you mention the Austin Powers or no, not Austin Powers? What is it? Yes, it's an Austin Powers Kevin Smith reference.
That was it's called Moonraker, isn't he?
Yes, Ben Affleck.
Yeah. Well, I didn't mention it. I totally forgot about that, so I do apologise.
Yeah, he says Ben Affleck is the Moonraper, and that's what they were going to call the spy who shagged me.
That's right, yeah. Kind of little cheap gags they threw in, which I did mention in the commentary. But aside from that, you should be... I did it with my friend Duncan Casey, who's a big 007 fan, so you should enjoy that.
Now, you've done every single 007 movie up to this point, right?
Most of them. I've not done all of them. I don't do them in order. I just do random ones here and there. So I'll probably do another Roger Moore film in the coming weeks. But I've just started doing a Marvel marathon, as it were. So kicking off with Captain America: The First Avenger, then we'll do Iron Man and Thor and so forth.
Gotcha. My co-host for the Dead TV podcast, which is currently covering Constantine, the canceled NBC TV series, and we just did the Constantine movie starring Keanu Reeves.
Did you like that film?
No.
Oh no. Okay.
So, but our commentary is not like making fun of it, even though we do kind of like point out the stupidity of it. But a lot of it's just to promote our podcast, because our podcast is currently covering Constantine, and then I'm going to be doing The Howling coming up soon, an American Werewolf in London.
Oh, nice. Well, good luck with those, matey.
Again, Oliver, thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it.
Well, yeah, thank you, Chris, for having me on the show, and hopefully I'll speak to you again soon.